Hi, my name is Dr. Ali. Welcome to Foreign MD, where we share stories and experiences of foreign trained medical graduates who were able to navigate the rigorous transition process at every level. These stories are meant to inspire and encourage you. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Dr. Ali, and welcome to another episode of Foreign MD. And I'm excited to have you here. And I'm also excited to have our guest here today. I have Dr. Akinsola, who is here today to share her story with us. And I'm glad she accepted my invite. And Hector, this is Foreign MD, where we talk to foreign medical doctors who were able to successfully transition and practice in the place that they went on ahead to migrate to. So, Dr. Akinsola, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate you having me, and I'm very glad to be here tonight.
Yeah.
So my name is Bolanle Akinsola. I am a pediatric emergency medicine attendant at Children's Hospital of Atlanta in Georgia, and I'm also an assistant professor at the Emory University School of Medicine, also in Atlanta, Georgia. I also have a position with the Morehouse School of Medicine as well as an adjunct clinical professor. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming here today. So, what was your primary place of training before you came over to the States to practice?
So I did my medical school in Nigeria, specifically the University of Ibadan.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that's where I did my medical school. I did we typically do, we're talking to foreign medical doctors, so they understand that we do the housemanship.
Yes.
So I did my housemanship immediately after completing medical school at also in Ibadan, the University College Hospital,
Okay.
UTH in Ibadan, Oyo State. And then when I finished my housemanship, obviously we did the 1 year youth service, mandatory service that we did for country. And then I went to go work as a medical officer in, we had a pediatric hospital, funnily enough, that was solely for pediatrics in Oyo State at Ring Road at that time. So I went to work as a medical officer
Okay.
at the it's called Oni Memorial Children's Hospital. So
Okay.
that's kind of my journey,
Okay.
my training, and my journey in Nigeria. Yes.
Okay. So, at what point in time and what made you decide to make the journey to come over here? I mean, you had finished, you had done some training over there. What made you have to make the decision to come over here?
So for me, the decision I still remember very clearly. Like I said, I always liked pediatrics.
Yeah.
I always was drawn towards pediatrics, and so working at that children's hospital, I was working and just seeing the abject poverty and just seeing the lack of care, and not because of the absence of the medical knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
The knowledge is there, but what was very sad, at least for me, was the fact that you knew what to do, but you couldn't do it. You couldn't practice it. It always broke my heart that kids were dying of very preventable illnesses, like gastroenteritis, malaria. And it just broke my heart. And I remember telling my husband then that if I'm going to do pediatrics in this country, I'm not going to die of a heartbreak.
Yeah.
So I think for me, and like I said, I still remember very vividly. I remember some specific cases that I still remember today that made me realize that this is my passion. This is what I want to do. And if I really want to, I'm thankful for the opportunity. I'm sure lots of people have the same passion, but don't have the opportunity. So I do appreciate that I have that, that privilege, and I'm thankful. But that for me, that was how the desire to move was born.
Okay. So how did that process look like for you? So you had the desire and then you knew that, okay, I have to start taking board exams and all that. So how did that start out?
So for my family, it wasn't exactly a straightforward process. My husband is also a physician, also a pediatrician. And he had done his training, like residency in Nigeria, also at University College Hospital where we met. And so our journey was actually going from Nigeria to another African country in Gambia, where we worked, or where he worked as he got a job as a research fellow.
Yeah.
And so he was working for this company called the Medical Research Council in the Gambia. And so it was something similar. So I didn't have a job. I just kind of, excitement. We had just got married and something to the Gambia. So it was there in the Gambia that I started because I wasn't working.
Yeah.
So that was when I started preparing for the board exams in the United States. So that's what I did. I studied and applied for step 1, step 2. Yeah.
Okay. So you finished, how long did it take you from when you started studying for your boards to complete it?
So it took me about step 1, step 2, CS, and step 2, CK. I would say it took me about 3 years.
Okay. And you feel like where you were, you had all the resources and you had all the materials to study?
So because I was in the Gambia, one, I was fortunate that we were posted to like a remote village, but because it was a research company, they had to do with vaccines.
Yeah.
There was always electricity. So I had the opportunity to be able to study. So I had access to study materials, online study materials. I think I had a lot of question banks. I used a lot of question Q banks, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah.
So that was how I studied. It was literally just me because I didn't really have any study groups. It was just me in a remote village in the Gambia.
Okay.
Internet access,
Yes.
and electricity. I was able to study. Yes, so that's how I studied. Correct.
Okay. So you are, you finished, you've done your boards, and then, okay, so now the application process comes in for the actual residency. Did you start that in the Gambia?
Yes, I did, because I actually hadn't been to the United States. I think I had only been there once.
Okay.
Before that, when my husband had like a presentation and I had come with him.
Yeah.
So my application was definitely from the Gambia. I do want to say here that connections are very, very helpful.
Yeah.
In this instance, knowing people, there's, you can't beat that. Having people connect to you, and so that was definitely something that helped me.
Yeah.
Connections from people who I knew. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, you still have to do the work.
Yeah.
But at least having the connection to at least get you through the door, and then what you present, at least you have an opportunity for you to present what you have. So I did have a few connections, but it was so funny that I only had one interview. Despite all the connections. Not a lot though, but I'm thankful for that one connection that was able to get me. So I did have one interview, and it was so funny that because and I actually played I played the card of the being from, Africa, as they like to say. So I would call and I would say, I'm calling from Africa. And I got a lot of discouraging, but I knew what I wanted, and so I just had to keep going for it. I would call and they'll be like, we will be the ones to get back to you. There's no need for you to call us. I called so many programs.
So you were reaching out to the programs directly?
The program director. I was reaching out to the programs directly, but I got a lot of cold responses.
Yeah.
And like, no, you're not the one to call. We will be the ones to call you. So, like I said, I got a little interview.
So that
was how
that one interview, is that what led to your getting into residency? I mean, did you match that first time?
Yeah, so I got during my time, we had the prematch.
Yeah, yeah.
Prematch still, I don't think it exists anymore, but it did exist during my time when I was applying. And so I actually had one interview. The plan was to, by that time, I had already started working at that research council in the Gambia at that time.
Yeah.
So I had that one interview. My plan was to come to the United States, do that interview and kind of hang around, see if I'll get more interviews. And I would already be in the country. So I was staying with a friend.
Yeah.
And so I went in for the interview, like I said, and I guess we'll talk about that, It's good to have introductions, but you also have to have a fantastic package. Like you have to be stellar candidates. And so by the grace of God, I believe that I was a stellar candidate.
That's awesome.
I think my passion, as I've told you, I've always loved pediatrics. And so I applied only to pediatrics.
Yeah.
Even though I got only one interview. And so, but I think my passion came through during the interview. How I talked about, pediatrics, why I liked it.
Yeah.
By the grace of God, I had very good scores.
Good. That always helps.
Because I was already working, yes, and because I was already working in a pediatric research place in the Gambia, that was also very helpful for me. And so I went for the interview, and I remember a day or 2 days after, the program director called me and said they were very impressed, that they could tell about, my passion for pediatrics kind of shone through. And then everybody was very impressed with my interview.
Yeah.
And they offered me a prematch at that
Wow.
time.
Oh, wow.
So I took it.
Of course you did.
That's my journey.
Awesome.
So after that, I got one more interview.
Yeah.
Like 2 months after, because that prematch was early on in the interview process. But because I had already signed the prematch, technically I only got 2 interviews. I only went for one.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. So here you are. And so I guess at that point in time, then it's the decision to move everyone over to the States, and everyone had to.
No, it wasn't that straightforward. I mean, as you know, it was really hard.
Yeah.
I had a 4-year-old, and I was pregnant.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was pregnant, and so during the interview, and so when I started residency in July, I had my son in April.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He was about 3 months old.
Yeah.
Almost 3 months old. It was very rough. It was very rough. So this is me coming to the United States for the first time to leave. So I mean, this is
family
foreign podcast. I was a JJ. If you know what that means. Which means I was very naive.
Very green. Yeah.
Green. I really didn't know my way around. And I had a breastfeeding. I mean, it was very rough. And I came alone. It was just me and my baby, and I had my mother-in-law to help me take care of the baby. So just the 3 of us came. So I left my husband and I left my 4-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Back in the Gambia. So it was a very difficult and very hard transition.
That sounds very rough. But at least I'm glad you had your mother-in-law, to at least look after the baby. So, oh wow. So at what point in time did your husband and your son come over?
So they came over a year after. So like the whole year. And I mean, when my baby was 7 months, this is part of how hard the transition was. My mom took him to Nigeria. So I missed some things. I missed his first walk.
Oh, wow.
Missed, so some sacrifices. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
Now, did you have a good support in your program? Like, just coming in that first year, would you say that, they kind of understood your struggles and were kind of supportive?
So, yeah, yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, in the sense that I trained in a program that took a lot of foreign medical graduates.
Okay. Okay.
So I think they were used to that kind of system.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so also, not all, but a lot, a majority of my colleagues were also foreign medical graduates.
IMGs. Okay.
I think because we're all kind of struggling together, even the senior ones, it wasn't so hard. The things that were a little bit very hard were maybe like the attendance, and then just kind of getting used to the new lingo. So, for example, coming in and they're saying, just write Motrin, and you're like, yeah. So the little things that really, really stress you out, that gives
Yes.
you a lot of anxiety.
Yes. No one saying Panadol or paracetamol. Yeah.
Yes, and then, but they just expect you to know it because everyone who doesn't know what Motrin is, or just say some typical words that they expect you to know. But
Yes.
so had that transition from the attendants who didn't know
The
what you
background.
knew and the assumption
Yeah.
background, and trying to struggle, and then that feeling of not, imposter syndrome. Maybe I shouldn't be here. I'm so
Yes.
dumb. The nurse is also kind of looking at you like, so yeah. So that's why I said it's a mix of good and bad. Yeah.
Yes. But I mean, you're here where you are right now, so that tells me that you made it through and you made it through great. So I am happy about that. So, what do you think things you wish you had known before you started the whole process of the journey that you think may have made this transition easier for you?
I mean, there's some things that you wish you had known, but there's some things that you don't have any control over,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So there are two things. So that I like to group it into things that you don't have control over and the things that you have control over. Some things you don't have control over may be like the location, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
to get to at least for the initial training, like
yeah,
you rightly said when we're talking before that. After now, you have a choice as to where you want to go.
yeah,
But in the training, you may not really have a choice. So in those places where you don't really have so much control, I think just knowing that um, there will be tough times. What's that saying that tough times, will come, but tough times never
don't
last.
last, but top people do. Yeah, yeah,
Thank you. So maybe just having that mindset shift at the very beginning that this is going to be rough. It doesn't mean you should tolerate abuse. That's
yeah,
definitely not what we're saying. And
yeah,
thankfully, I think we're having more light shed
yeah,
into. Um, there's more light, so that's good. But just knowing that, kind of having a mind shift or a mindset, knowing that this is my goal. So I think those are the things that I wish I knew. Just kind of set you about how, like they lives about how do they say it,
yeah,
and then forming support, having support groups, being open, talking to people. I think many times
absolutely.
our culture, we're used to, like you said, keeping things, and trying to process it by ourselves, and that is actually harmful. So
It is.
things that I wish I knew was, finding people, having a support group, talking to people, be it, if you're a religious person, maybe church, or if you like a particular hobby, doing something that kind of gives you a good support group that you can interact and you can talk to. So I think those are the things that you can control, and just doing things kind of like self-care.
Yeah, yeah,
So those are the things that I wish, maybe somebody had told me ahead of time, things that you should priorities, make
yeah,
sure you take care of yourself, go, just, and not just walk, 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 walk. Now, things that you have control over would be making sure that you're ready in terms of, like we said, even if somebody is able to introduce you, making sure that you present yourself as a stellar candidate. So
sure.
doing the groundwork,
Yeah,
making sure that, your CV is up to date and dusted, doing so much to either, shadowing, research opportunities, volunteering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Documenting those things. I think so many times that's one of the things that I learned, not documenting things or thinking that those things that you were
Didn't
doing
matter.
didn't matter when they
Yeah.
really did matter.
Yeah.
Those are the things I think, I wish I could have done better, and just the confidence in presenting those things that you're so good at. 'Cause you are really good. Like you are, I believe anyone who's trained, just because we're trained in under-resourced
Yeah.
communities, we end up being really excellently trained. So making sure that those things shine through.
Yeah.
And things that I wish I knew then to know how to present myself even better than I did. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. So now you've obviously done your residency, you're at this stage of your life and your career, and you're in a prestigious institution at that. Looking back, would you say that, all the struggles, the tears, which I know there must have been a lot during your residency program, would you say that it was worth it?
Yes. 100%.
Okay.
100%. Especially like I said, the reason why for me, I mean, there are different reasons for different people, but for me,
Yeah.
I wanted to make a difference,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, oh yes, 100%.
Awesome. And I know that, one of the reasons you're there, you must have had a very supportive spouse. I mean, for you to make that, move, all the way by yourself, I know that a loving and a supportive family, must be behind the reason for your success.
That is essential success. Having a support system, and support systems differ. Some may not be mad, but you must have a support system because you cannot do this alone.
You really can't.
You cannot do this alone. You need, as you know too.
Yes, absolutely.
You've gone through this journey. You cannot do this alone. So you definitely need to have a support system. And like I said, your support system differs
Yeah,
based
yeah.
on your circumstance, but you really need to intentionally find that support system. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. So, before we round up, I just want you to leave one tip for an IMG listening to you today. One tip that you think you wish someone had told you that that they would definitely benefit from.
I think I kind of already mentioned it. I do a lot of mentoring.
Yeah.
Right now for IMGs, I do like interview preps, just as like how you're giving back, like my way of trying to give back. And the one thing that I have noticed is that one thing that I would tell an IMG who's listening to me is don't, because you really want to come or be prepared. I think the mistake many people make is that they rush into these exams. They don't prepare.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't prepare. They're like, I'll run fit. I'll just do it. You can't do that.
No.
You really know. I've had to tell some people that, you may need to suffer for a while.
Forfeit that money.
Thank you. We tell them, my husband and I, like, you may need to do that. Like because you need to study. Many people don't study. They try to just do to the answer.
Yeah.
Anybody will understand what I'm saying. You can't do that. So that's the one tip that I've noticed, because it matters, especially here, where if you don't pass, they look at how many attempts that you've had.
Sure.
And it ends up, affecting your chances, especially in a place that is so competitive. And the other thing that I will tell them, so prepare. I cannot overemphasize. Like you said, you may need to forfeit the money to say, I'm going to spend 4 hours a day just to study and be prepared.
I'm a witness to that. I mean, I can, one of the reasons that I'll be grateful for was I had signed up, my money already had a deadline, when I signed up for my step 1, and I knew I wasn't ready. And there was this mindset that said, yeah, but your money, I mean, I wasn't working there. So basically this was income coming from my husband. And I think it was $700 or something then when I did. And something, so basically I had to forfeit it. And something said, just try to, don't just do what you can. And I called someone, and I remember calling someone. She was an IMG who had come in. I told her, I have my exam coming up. If I don't take it now, this money is going to go. But I know I'm not fully ready yet. What do you think I do? And she just told me, look, let it go. Like,
very good advice.
Just
excellent advice. Yeah.
Just let it go. If you're not ready for it, you can't wing it. And that was one of the best advice that, someone, but I reached out. Like I said, I didn't just sit down and make that decision by myself. I said, let me ask, someone who had been there, done that, if I'm making the right decision. So yes, you cannot underemphasize or understate.
Thank you for corroborating that. That is the one tip that I will leave there. I don't wing it. You cannot wing it, and you have to study. Like you have to say, I may not take up this job. It means that I may not be able to buy this. It means I may have to let go of this.
True.
But think about it as a little pain, for the joy that is set before you, right? So
yeah,
you really have to. So that is the one, and I see that all the time. And the other one is when you do, get an interview, and we're not trained that way, so I understand. Speaking, we tend to be humble and downplay our achievements, or we think that, oh yeah, I just did this one. What is that? This is nothing. No.
Yes.
So those are the two things that I wish somebody had told me more to emphasize, on which I kind of already talked about, and the tip that I would leave any IMG that's listening: prepare. You have to put your best foot forward, because you may not have many chances to even be able to show your foot. True. So the one chance that you have to, it has to be like
spot on. Yeah.
Well, yes.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Akinsola. I really appreciate your input today. And I just wanted to ask, is there any way if they want to reach you to ask you any questions, or are you just leaving an email address that they can reach you?
Yeah, you can. I can send it to you. It's MOTMA, M as in Mary, OTMA. So Motma, the number 77 at yahoo.co.uk.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'll post that link in the podcast too. But we appreciate your input, and I'm so glad that you were able to share your journey. And I know that someone out there is going to hear this, and it's going to help them too. So I appreciate it so much.
I do hope so.
All right. You have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, and you too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please share, like, and subscribe to encourage a fellow physician who is also on this transition journey.